What's going on, everyone? Bran here, about to give you the bloody breakdown on, yes, it is happening, Scream 6. And I guess that's just what we're going to call it for now, Scream 6. Because there's really no telling what avenue we're going to go down this one with the title. Now, before I get anything, really quickly, sorry I'm a little late to the party here. Had some major computer issues. I think I've kind of got them squared away with, like, duct tape or whatever. It's hanging on by a thread. I'm not questioning it. Let's just go with it. So, huge news. Absolutely huge news. Now, I will say that going into this, once I saw Scream make over $100 million, I was like, you know, at this point, they'd probably be stupid not to have a follow-up. You know, this is one of the more successful Screams, definitely more so than 4, you know, not throwing any shade on 4, but definitely a very financially successful Scream, and I think overall, essentially pretty critically successful as well. I know there were some out there that didn't like it, didn't get it, what have you, but you're gonna have that regardless. So let's jump into this, because this is really big news. We will be getting a 6th installment to the Scream franchise, and, you know, maybe I'm jumping too far ahead, but, you know, at least my assumption is, given the names that we're seeing a part of this already, which we'll get into that in this article, it looks like a direct continuation of what we've seen. Now, that could totally be off base. That's just the impression that I'm getting thus far. Let's dig in. Let's check it out. Huge news, a Scream 6. So, this is coming to us courtesy of The Hollywood Reporter, who was the first site that I saw this news from. So, of course, the headline here, Scream sequel a go from Spyglass and Paramount. Of course, the 5th installment released last month earned more than $100 million globally. And hey, that's all you really got to know right there. I think this movie, correct me if I'm wrong, was on like a 20-something million dollar budget, I think. So, you know, huge returns for Paramount and Spyglass. So the article goes on to say, Paramount and Spyglass are headed back to Woodsboro. A 6th installment of the Scream franchise has been greenlit, with the creative team from the successful 2022 film back in action. Once again, Radio Silence's Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette will direct, with James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick returning to pen the script. Production is slated to begin this summer, and that's huge. That one group of sentences right there is huge. Especially for a guy like me who really enjoyed the 2022 Scream, the most recent Scream, Scream 5, whatever. Absolutely loved what Radio Silence has brought to this franchise, through the script writing, through the direction, and the fact that we're not only going to, what appears to be, get a continuation of that, they're going into production this summer. Now, that tells me that more than likely there was a plan going forward. I think even before this 5th entry was released. You know, they can kind of say what they want to, you know, kind of give you the politically correct answer of, you know, I'd love to come back if you'd have me, which I think was their most recent retort to such a question. But at the end of the day, that tells me I think there was definitely something already in the mix as far as the story goes, as far as where we head next. And I think they probably just wanted to sit on that and see how things were going to go critically and financially for the film. And now that things have gone actually pretty well, you know, it's time to go ahead with it. And you know, the studios, they have all the confidence in the world in this thing now, I'm sure. But like I said, once again, what a great return financially this movie made for them, which is their bottom line at the end of the day. So going on, we have a quote here. We are tremendously grateful to the fans around the world who enthusiastically received our film. We can't wait for audience to see what Radio Silence writers Jamie and Guy and Project X have in store for our Woodsboro family, Spyglass and Paramount said in a joint statement. So, you know, obviously they're excited to make more money. This thing, it did extremely well. And it really wasn't one of those things where you could just say, well, you know, this is a generally overall successful franchise. I'm sure if we make another one, it'll do well. And you can say that with a lot of franchises. I don't really know if that was the case heading into Scream 5. I mean, Scream 4 was not a huge financial success. And that's for a myriad of reasons. But, you know, you got Spyglass and Paramount behind this thing for the first time. Wes Craven not a part of it for the first time. There were a lot of factors going into this one where I honestly felt like this is probably going to be a hit or miss film. Luckily, I found it to be quite a hit and cannot wait to see what they do with this thing going forward. Going on here, let's see. Working with such a wonderful and talented family of creators, and in the lineage Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson so expertly built, has been a thrill of a lifetime, and we're excited to bring the next chapter in the Scream saga to life, Radio Silence said in comment. So there's their comment, putting that out there. And they really have, in my estimation, been really respectful to the source material. I felt so. I know there were some people that maybe felt like there were some questionable things in this film. I don't fall into that camp. I felt like there were some really great Easter eggs. I felt like there was a lot of homage, and I felt like it was very well done. It wasn't done just to reference things. Like, it did that, but at the same time, it was its own thing, which is really, in essence, why I really enjoyed this latest film very much. So let's see here. The latest Scream successfully relaunched the franchise when it opened in January. To date, it has earned $62.6 million domestically and has a combined global haul of $106.7 million, a strong showing amid theatrical challenges posed by the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. It brought audiences back to Woodsboro, where a new killer wearing a ghost face mask stalked a group of young friends. And that's a good point. We're living obviously in a time where, for example, our friends to the north, if you're here in the States with me, Canada, theaters were closed up until recently, if I'm not mistaken. So that, just a small idea to give you an example of how film and theaters have been really hindered by this pandemic. And for this movie to still make that kind of money, given the era in which we're in, I think that speaks volumes. And I think that, I really shouldn't say think. I know that obviously had this pandemic not been a thing, Scream would have been an even bigger showing. So it's very good. It's good. It shows this franchise really has a staying power. And people are reinvigorated and reinterested in this franchise, and I absolutely love that. So they kind of go over a little bit of the history of the franchise, and they talk about characters who survived, and no real casting has been announced thus far. And I'll say this before we go into this part. Spoiler warning for like the next 20 seconds or so. But you wonder if Chad or Mindy, Sam, Tara, Sydney, Gale, you wonder if these characters are going to be returning, all of them or some of them. But as of this moment, no casting has been announced. But you do kind of have an idea, especially if you've seen the movie. If we are indeed moving forward with the story, some of the faces you'll likely to be seeing in the next one. But that being said, I mean, with some of the Easter eggs we saw, could you be seeing a potential return for Kirby in this movie? I know there's a lot of fans of that character out there. And to be perfectly honest with you, the way we got a lot of Easter eggs and callbacks in the fifth film, working with these same writers and directors, there's a good chance, I think, that maybe we could see something like that in the next one. The return of some older characters, especially if you've seen the newest one. Once again, spoiler alerts for the next 10 seconds, if you want to fast forward. Returning characters that are living or dead. So yeah, you never really know what we're going to be getting out of this one, and that's really what I like. But I also like the fact that, at least it seems to me, how quickly this all came together, that there was definitely a story in place for how we can go with this in the future. And given the parallels of who Sam's father is in comparison to who Sydney's mother was, I think maybe we could see where this is going. But once again, I think these guys, Radio Silence, are way too talented to just give us anything that's just straight up regurgitated. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go from here. Just big news. Going to be filming this summer. Huge news. And I mean, I have said on several occasions since the movie released, hey, when are we getting a sixth one? But yeah, I mean, it was kind of in jest. I honestly did not think that there would be an announcement this quick, but I will say I'm really excited that they went ahead, pulled the trigger, announced this thing. I think it's going to be really cool. And I'll just go ahead and call it right now. You know, a lot of people were talking about there being a quote-unquote Radio Silent Scream trilogy, kind of in the same vein how we have a David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy coming to completion this year. And I'll say, I especially with the sequel greenlit, I'd say that's definitely a possibility at this point. And if that is the case, if there's a really strong trilogy story behind this, I'd love to see another good Scream trilogy. Because quite frankly, my favorite Screams, even to this day, are from the original trilogy, 1, 2, and 3. Just because I love that overarching story over all 3 films. Not that I don't like 4 or 5, I really do. But those 3 hold a really special place for me because of that story over the course of those 3 films. So if they can give me something like that, that would definitely make me happy, and a lot of fans of the OG trilogy happy, and even some of the new fans who kind of, in a lot of ways, got cheated out of what might have been by that original Scream 4, 5, and 6 trilogy. So yeah, that's it, folks. Huge news. Scream 6 has been greenlit. What are we going to call this thing? Scream 6? Scream Again? Screams? Scream Kills? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and find out. Scream Forever, maybe. I'm pretty sure that was like the title of this thing previously anyway. Scream 5 I speak of. So yeah, let me know what you all think down below in the comments section. As always, if you enjoyed the video, give me a like. Subscribe if you really dig what we're doing. If you really, really dig what we're doing here, you could click that join button and become a member and support this channel. But enough of my shilling, enough of my bullshit. Let me know what you all think about this down below in the comment section. I'm Bran, and you've just got the Bloody Breakdown.